Hello, everyone. Today, my team members and I would like to present to you on the multimodal analysis of music as part of our Big Data Analytics course. The main motivation we had for this project was that we wanted to detect and analyze the bias present in the music industry in terms of gender using the lyrics of songs as well as music videos. We also decided that we wanted to predict genre based on a particular song's audio, and we also used a generative approach to show the presence of bias in lyrics. We had a variety of data sets for different components of our project. One of the data sets we used was the Kaggle dataset, which was 98 megabytes. We also downloaded a bunch of music videos from YouTube, approximately 15 gigabytes, and we downloaded the Free Music Archive dataset, which was 7.2 gigabytes. The Kaggle dataset had 380,000 rows and a size of 100 megabytes. We downloaded over 1,000 music videos from YouTube, and the FMA dataset had audio recordings of 8,000 tracks across 8 genres.
Songs using the Kaggle dataset, which had 380,000 rows. The first part of a pre-processing pipeline included removing the rows which did not have any lyrics. This reduced the size of the dataset down to 300,000 rows. We used NLTK for our pre-processing pipeline, where we tokenized the lyrics into sentences and further into words. Then we lemmatized these words to achieve the common root words. Then we used NLTK's gender detection library to actually detect the mentions of males and females across different genres, and we found the balance to be fairly equal. This helped us move on with our analysis. The first kind of analysis we did was fairly naive, where we scraped the usage of derogatory words against men and women from the internet, and we tried to find the occurrence of these derogatory words across the different genres in the lyrics, and we found that hip hop and rock were the genres which had the most amount of occurrences of these derogatory words, and even in those, the amount of derogatory words for females was fairly higher than they were for males. Another type of naive analysis that we did was just finding the word clouds, that is the most frequently occurring words after removing the stop words across the different genres. And we again see that in a genre like jazz, there aren't a lot of derogatory words about either of the genders, while in hip hop we can see certain words being shown very commonly. Now, to further quantify this degree of emotions being shown towards men and women, we used lexicons such as CentiWordNet, CenticNet, and the Harvard Inquirer lexicons, which are basically dictionaries with sentiment scores assigned for each of the words in those dictionaries. And for each of these dictionaries, we found the sentiment of the word, quantify the extent to which males and females were portrayed as positively or negatively. We used lexicons such as CentiWordNet, CenticNet, as well as the Harvard Inquirer lexicons, which are basically dictionaries which provide sentiment scores to certain words in the dictionaries. And in our analysis, we found that the sentiments associated with men and women for jazz were fairly equivalent, as we saw in the previous naive analysis as well, while for genres such as pop and hip hop, they were fairly uneven, and women were shown the sentiments associated with women were much stronger than they were for men. This shows that there must exist some kind of bias towards women or against women, and we see that in terms of the negative sentiment shown, the negative sentiment towards women is almost twice as much as it is for men. Since we did not have any ground truth for our experiments, we also try to come up with a generative approach where the generative language models would learn the inherent bias in the languages associated with each of the genres. For this extent, we used RNNs to train language models for each of the different genres, and we then generated sentences using random seeds. A sample is shown here where the RNN was trained with jazz lyrics, and we see that the lyrics produced are fairly gender neutral, whereas for hip hop, they are able to capture certain derogatory words which are used typically used for women. To conclude, we find that hip hop is the genre which associates the most negatively with women, while jazz, on the other hand, is something that, as a classical genre, it does not have any of the bias present as there are in hip hop or rock or pop.
For the next component of our project, we wanted to analyze bias which is present in music videos. For the data collection part, we downloaded YouTube videos using a Python library called PyTube. Using a GitHub repository, we found out all the IDs corresponding to different music videos, and using this information, we scraped the YouTube videos. The next part involved the cleaning of the data. In this part, we removed the videos which weren't downloaded correctly and also converted the corresponding individual music videos to their frames. And on these frames, we detected the gender in each frame and also found out the emotion which each gender is displaying. Some of the results which we obtained, which we found interesting, were the following. As you can see, the bar chart on the left represents the percentages of emotions displayed by men and women in the music videos. Clearly, we can see that men are shown to be twice as angry as women, whereas at the same time, women show the emotion fear twice as much as men. This is an example of gender bias which can be seen in music videos, which corresponds to the stereotypes which exist in our society. Another interesting result we found was that the screen on time was not shared equally between men and women. The occurrences which are shown in the chart are the number of times men and women were detected using our model in the given frames, and the chart on the right shows the ratio of the screen on time for men and women. As you can see, almost 1/3 of the time was taken by women as compared to the 2/3 time for men. Thus, females don't get the same share of screen on time as compared to their male counterparts. This is another example of gender bias which is present in the music industry.
So part 3 of our project is music genre classification from audio. As mentioned before, we downloaded the Free Music Archive dataset. We then derived features from the audio and parsed these features to a variety of classification models. So in order to extract the features, we first loaded the audio file into an array. We then computed the short-time Fourier transform. We found the time in seconds when the onset happens in the audio signal. The onset is essentially the beginning of a musical note. We saved these into 100 millisecond array segments beginning at the onset, and for each segment we calculated the zero crossing rate. We then sorted the segments and used these as our features. Here you can see a variety of graphs that show the classification performance of the different models. As we had mentioned, we essentially wanted to predict the genre using these classification models. After training them on a variety of models, we came to the conclusion that the support vector regression classifier gave us the highest accuracy, and so we used that for prediction. We noted that the predictions were in tune with our previous analysis of lyrics, which is that lyrics with more negative language was predicted as hip-hop. So in conclusion, we were curious as to how biased the music industry is today, which is what motivated us to analyze 3 components of the industry, which is lyrics, audio, and music videos. Our hypothesis was that the music industry is in fact male-dominated and thus biased against women. And from our discussion and analysis of the various components, you can see that our hypothesis is in fact proven correct. And we hope that by highlighting this bias to the world, we can move towards a less skewed industry. Thank you.